feeling you? No. That nigga a munch. Nigga eat it, he ate it for lunch. Bitch, on my body, I get what I want. Like, you thought I was feeling you? That nigga a munch. Nigga eat it, he ate it for lunch. Bitch, on my body, I get what I want.
Welcome guys. We have a brand new trailer, Superman official trailer. Superman is releasing over the summer, so coolio for that. Let's get into it, dude. Let's get into it. Let's see. Yep, you made that. Coolio.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah,
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
sure.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Does he change his voice?
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some
it's
might.
a lot of
it's
fire,
a
but-
lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny?
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the?
Wait a minute. First off, fuck Lois Lane.
I'm not the
Second
one being
off,
interviewed, Superman.
what's going on here? What's going on here? Hey, crack that flow. How do you do that?
Consult with the president?
Wait a damn minute. Fuck. Lex loses the president? I'm so confused. And it's just so
Interviewed
crazy to me
Superman?
because he originally wants to be Superman. Honestly, I can't see him as Superman. And I remember I told her, I'm like, imagine you wanted to be the star of the show. They're like, hey, we don't really see you as a star of the show. We see you as the opposite side of the star. So, we got the star and we want you to be the villain. Because you'd be perfect for the villain. The fuck? But now, any resentment he has towards not being Superman, he channels into Lex Luthor, and it comes off organically.
Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of
I
the
wasn't
United States
representing
will
anybody
cause more
except for me.
problems around the world.
And,
Or
and doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die. Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
This movie is going to be so... What the fuck did she just do? Playback. Slow it down. Mute it. Look at this, bro. Look at this. Done turn her hands into some motherfucking blades. I know she sleep good at night. Like that. I'm saying she probably uncomfortable as hell.
Your choices.
Oh wait. First off, that should look clean as fuck. Let's start from here. Crypto the super dog.
Your choices. Your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
July 11th, so the day after my friend's birthday, and then oh my goodness. Mr. Terrific.
Superman. He's not a man. He's an it. He's somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation.
Green Lantern and Hawk Girl.
Not accept that.
I claim.
Look at the anger in his face. Like, just look at this, bro. Just look at the just unrivaled rage. Like, damn. Like, look. Brother man is pissed.
I claimed your boots. I'll go get them for you.
Bro, there was people complaining about this shot. Because, what do you call it? Like, oh, he is a... She need to shut the fuck up. People always complaining about something. What the fuck? Superman.
You have a dog?
Breakdown time.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm
Breakdown time.
Eric Boss, and this is a breakdown of the new trailer for Superman, coming July 11th. Director James Gunn and the cast of David Cornsweet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult are cooking with this. And eyes up here, details. Details are what these peepers are seeing. Easter eggs, clues.
Details.
I found it all. I got you covered. Check out yesterday's video for my initial reaction and our break room live stream Q&A.
Details.
Freaking frame for everything you might have missed. And before we begin, announcement: New Rockstars will be revisiting the 1960s and ad-free. Consider hitting that join button.
Yeah,
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
sure.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
The opening shot shows Metropolis at night from the marina in the foreground. James Gunn used the city of Cleveland for Metropolis, but they clearly added several skyscrapers to the skyline, so you can see the two bridged towers of Luthor Corp in the upper right. In the lower right, we see this is
Luthor
Bob's
Corp.
Boat Marina, or maybe Bob's Bat Marina. Maybe a nod to Batman co-creator Bob Kane, and it could be a marina used by Batman to dock one of his bat boats. It's probably not. We also see a van pulling into the parking lot that I think says Vine Roads or something like that. I assume this is part of a different scene than the opening interview with Clark and Lois, but Clark and Lois are intimately close as she realizes he's gonna let her interview him as Superman. Whoa, so right away, confirmed, Lois Lane in this movie will find out, or might even begin the movie already knowing, that her coworker Clark Kent is the same person as Superman. Kal-El presents himself to her with his glasses off, with a deeper registered voice and a confident smile, and just a relaxed energy that he never would have as his tightly wound Clark persona. We do hear a bit of a distinction between Cornsweet's Clark voice and his Superman voice, as he's
I
hired
knew it.
for yeah, and sure, but then drops to the lower register right after she hits record for him saying, "Let's do it, Cronkite."
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it, Cronkite. Miss Lane.
And referencing the great
Told you.
journalist Walter Cronkite gives the DC.
I knew I heard it changing the
As
voice.
was the case with the Donnerverse of Superman the movie and Superman 2, where real-world journalists like Rex Reed would cameo as colleagues of Lois Lane, making the Daily Planet feel like a real newsroom is a critical part of the DNA. As Richard Donner established that setting in the tradition of great 70s journalism films like All the President's Men and Network. American film audiences at that time had very specific expectations of what newsrooms should look like and what journalists on screen should sound like. And I sense that James Gunn is bringing that back with this movie. This interview may remind you of the classic scene in the 1978 Richard Donner Superman
Nope, never
movie
seen it.
when Superman, as Superman, agrees to let Lois interview him for the Daily Planet so the public won't see him as a threat. Lois in that movie doesn't know that Superman and Clark are the same person though, and it ends up being a
Big-ass
romantic
glasses.
encounter in which they go flying together. Not so here. Lois is gonna grill Superman for his actions and really get him pissed. James Gunn said in an interview with Time that this interview scene will last 12 minutes, 10% of
12
the movie's
minutes?
total runtime, and that they shot it in 2 days. Gunn was relieved to see the
Holy
energy and magic
shit.
between
12 minutes, filmed it in 2 days. 12 minutes. Oh my goodness. And just based off that, I'm already pissed off at her.
David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan. So this interview is going to be a critical chunk of the movie, one that really hammers away at Superman's role in this society and explores the depths of his and Lois's relationship. If you look closely at Lois's audio recorder, it's a Lord Tech brand. This is a company of billionaire Maxwell Lord, a recurring DC corporate villain who was played by Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 84 and now in the DCU by James Gunn's brother Sean Gunn. We actually saw a clip of Maxwell in the recent trailer for Peacemaker Season 2, which is coming in August.
This guy sucks.
Excuse me? Am I supposed to be able to hear you guys?
Excuse me?
That was Maxwell Lord with Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner Green Lantern and Isabella Merced as Kendra Saunders Hawkgirl, both with the Justice League JL branding on the uniforms, who will first appear in this Superman movie as other metahumans already in Metropolis, along with Eddie Gathegi as Michael Holt, Mr. Terrific. And all of them in
Where
this
have I
trailer, you
seen
can
him
see a
before?
bit of that JL branding already on their chests. So it seems like Maxwell Lord will be less of a villain and more of just a neutral corporate figure trying to stamp his brand on the superheroes of this universe through his financial backing. We've seen Luthor Corp on tech like the TV monitors in past Superman footage, and we know that Stag Enterprises is another company of this world. So why is Lois
So it's
using a
3
Lord
people.
Tech brand? Maybe as a journalist, she's paranoid that using Lex Luthor's tech for her work, Lex's team might have installed some kind of backdoor to the software or even the hardware that would allow them to "we hear you" surveil journalists like Lois. To the right of Clark on the side table is a framed photo of Lois written in clouds. Did Superman write her name in the sky at some point? And then on the coffee table between them is a Daily Planet mug with food that looks like eggs and sausage. Even though it's nighttime, I'm assuming they made breakfast for dinner. Always a good choice. Let's move on.
Absolutely.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for
I
what
know,
some
it's a
might.
lot of
it's
fire,
it's a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was
I don't
going
know
to
if I
look
would
into your
take that
actions.
throwing trash in the
That's
back of
funny.
my head.
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In this section, we see a daytime shot of Metropolis in the aftermath of some destructive battle that demolished a corner of a building.
Didn't
We see
realize
a huge
that.
ship taking up multiple lanes of traffic that could be a ship containing Lex Luthor's Lexbots. It's definitely not Mr. Terrific's T-ship, but I feel like Luthor
Sure.
Corp would build something this huge and annoying. I'm assuming this is after Superman's battle with either the Hammer of Baradia or maybe the Kaiju.
Ooh.
In the bottom corner of the shot, you can see a Metropolis Meteors sports bar. We see the shots that we saw in the December teaser of Superman walking into Stag while citizens scream at him and pelt him with cans, and you may have seen this online. Whereas the December teaser version of the shot had Superman blinking when the can hits him in the back of the head, the version in this trailer edited the VFX to make him not blink when that can hits him, not even flinch. Some online complained that Superman would flinch or feel pain or feel anything at all ever, but I still appreciate this edit because, you know, whatever Superman feels should probably more be inside. We see an overhead shot of the Pentagon as Lois tells Clark that the Secretary of Defense was going to look into Superman's actions, and then we cut to Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., father to Rick Flag Jr., Joel Kinnaman's character in the Suicide Squad and Suicide Squad. And Rick Flag Sr. seems to be sitting in on some U.S. military establishment meeting. Rick Flag Sr. also appeared in Creature Commandos, also voiced by Frank Grillo, but with a different look. Grillo will return as Rick Flag Sr. in Peacemaker Season 2 based on the recent trailer. So are they saying that Rick Flag Sr. is the Secretary of Defense? I
So
don't think
we're
so.
gonna have
but I
this
think
in
he is
July
in
and then
that
Peacemaker in
Superman says
August.
He stopped a war, and we see a conflict between the military of Baravia with heavily armed troops and Humvees and tanks approaching a gathered group of unarmed and really lesser armed people of Jarhanpur. Both of these countries, like Gorja Maltese, Kandak, Pakistan, and Bialia, are fictional countries within the DC world. The December teaser showed American news media reporting on this conflict, and the Daily Planet front page in the teaser talks about the Hammer of Baravia, which I will get into in a bit. And we know among these Jarhanpur protesters are this kid with a flagpole who prays for Superman. And if you look closely at this wide shot, the protesters are throwing pitchforks and carrying shovels before they turn to flee. And based on the TV news, they really are protesting Baravian aggression. Really, it sounds like this is going to be an international conflict in a certain part of the
Interesting.
world that's especially controversial, and Superman's just going to intervene to try to stop the bloodshed, but even that is going to be seen back home as him picking a side. We see a close-up of one of these tanks as it fires, and it's especially advanced and futuristic, making me think that the Baravians could have been supplied by American defense contractors like Luthor Corp, and Luthor Corp could also be the source of the Hammer of Baravia. Superman shields himself from fire, probably fire breathed by that kaiju that he's fighting that we saw in the teaser
Definitely,
footage. And
most
I love
definitely.
how those flames try to lap up his arms and his hair, but quickly recede. He's left with some scorches on his chest emblem, cape, head, and fist. And we see this shot of the Daily Planet newsroom that we've seen before with Lois, Jimmy Olsen, Kat Grant,
Well, that's
Robin
Jimmy
Coop, and
Olsen.
Steve Lombard. And these two guys behind him are Superman co-creator Jerry Siegel's grandsons, Michael Larson and James Larson. Let's
Oh
move on.
wow.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of
I
the
wasn't
United States
representing
will cause
anybody
more
except for
problems.
me.
Superman is arrested by a trio of Rick Flag Sr., Ultraman, and the Engineer. I've talked about those latter two in previous videos, but Ultraman is a Superman counterpart known for a U sigil on his chest. As an opposite to Superman, he is powered by kryptonite. Now, he's not the same thing as Bizarro, and there have been several generations of Ultraman, but this one seems to be a government instrument, part of the US military, the
Interesting.
way Rick Flag Sr. serves the military, but also perhaps an innovation of Lex Luthor. And Maria Gabriela De Faria plays Angela Spica, aka the Engineer, who will in the future become a member of the Authority. She has a nanotech suit built around her body. You can see the cracked part of the street where the later shot will show Superman's face getting smashed into the asphalt by Ultraman. And this arrest
That
is happening on
explains
Wade
why.
Street, a reference to longtime DC Comics writer Mark Waid, writer of Kingdom Come, Superman Birthright, and many other titles. Now again, the reason Ultraman can hold Superman by the back of his neck like this is that he is being powered by kryptonite. And you can see the pain in Superman's eyes as he twitches upon being smushed into the asphalt. Like his whole body is convulsing. I assume Ultraman is to blame for the beating that Superman receives before getting to the Fortress of Solitude, because in the CinemaCon scene that was released in April, it was implied that his lung was punctured and they needed Saharan sunlight multiplied by hundreds of times to rapidly heal him. A menacing shot of Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, as Lois's voice asks, did he consult with the president? Like the matching shot of Rick Flag Sr. with the Secretary of Defense, I'm certain this doesn't mean that Lex Luthor is the US president, but Lex Luthor does become the commander-in-chief at one point in the comics. The face Nicholas Hoult is
Interesting.
making here is so smug, almost like he's in the middle of making a villainous laugh, like I really just love how much talking over each other there is between Lois and Clark and their argument over whether Superman was appearing to represent the country in his actions, and when he raises his voice, his pitch goes up. Like gone is the calm, collected Superman, and he's now reverting back to panicked Clark. Tall buildings collapse into each other like dominoes over a bridge where you can see lots of civilian passenger cars moving. So I don't know how Superman, or even with backup like Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and Guy Gardner, would be able to save them all, but I'm sure they'll find a way. Moving on.
I would question
Our
myself in the
friendship.
same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die.
Oh yeah, his voice did change. What the
Okay,
hell?
we see the
Oh, okay, I'm
December
about to
teaser
say.
shot of Superman saving the little girl outside the Metropolis Meteors baseball park. The way he speeds in and covers her reminded many of the shot in the opening titles of Smallville, where Clark saved someone from a speeding truck. Somebody save her! It's also kind of like when Superman saves an unaware kid from a train in Action Comics number 1000 in 2018. The April CinemaCon footage included a few extra frames where you can see these tanks that are being stomped on by the kaiju. They have a label on a few of them that looks like a C within a D, so DC. And it looks like these contain the noble gas of
Oh.
argon. Argon, like krypton, is considered one of the noble or inert gases, and it's used in welding and lighting, food packaging, 3D printing, and other industrial processes. We see this thing heat visioning a laser beam through an office building. So this is the Hammer of Baravia, cited in the Daily Planet front page in the December teaser. The Hammer of Baravia is an original character or thing. But
Oh.
he appears to be some kind of WMD metahuman with similar powers as Superman, including flight, super strength, and heat vision. In the reflection of the office building, it looks like that heat vision lasers come out of two different eyes, but they do quickly join to look like one joined beam. So he either came from Baravia and is sent by their government to attack Superman or to attack Metropolis, or I think something created by someone else else and given a Baravian name in order to make Superman look bad, as if Superman is to blame for this vengeful payback on these innocent Americans after Superman needlessly intervened in that international conflict. The Hammer's golden shell looks like something that's designed to be noticed by the media cameras that are following them around. Actually, these drones that follow them, I thought initially were Mr. Terrific's T-spheres, but no, they are not. They are something else. Drone cameras, I think, sent by Luthor Corp to make sure the media got great footage of Superman bringing this Baravian threat back with him to American soil. As the Hammer chokes Superman, you can see the sunburst emblem of the country of Baravia on his chest that I think you can also see on their uniform iconography and their hardware. But the floor of this office building he attacks, I think, is my favorite Easter egg in this trailer. It's an advertising pitch meeting for Choco's Cookies. Choco's are the Oreo adjacent cookies of the DC universe. They're famous for being Martian Manhunter's favorite cookie. You can see their logo on the screen on the far left of this room as the laser goes through it, and the wall is covered in giant sandwich cookies dancing in a wave of milk. And the creative exec has a pointer pitching storyboard art and print art for what this commercial campaign will be, where apparently a Choco cookie rises like a sun or maybe forms a solar eclipse. Like, is this going to be a product endorsement by Martian Manhunter with an ad concept designed to appeal to an extraterrestrial? I hope so. We actually saw the inside of this office room in the December teaser trailer tomorrow spot, and I just didn't know what we were looking at then. In that shot, you can see slogans like "Taste of Happiness," and all the execs have bottles of milk that I guess they're using for taste tests. Then Lois's questioning really brings out the anger in Superman.
People were going to die.
In a different moment, Superman drops out of the sky and crash lands hard on a sidewalk. In the background, you can see Moore Avenue, a reference to DC Comics writer Alan Moore, who wrote Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, For the Man Who Has Everything, and of course, Watchmen and The Killing Joke. The building behind them has a sign for MMMA, or the Metropolis Museum of Modern Art. The mural art shows a pattern of birds transitioning to a pattern of planes, which is a perfect setup for Superman to crash land into the shot. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Superman. Superman lays in this crater in the bricks, having broken a water main as plumbing water, sewer water, leaks on him. Yuck. You can see more of those drone cameras following Superman, and I think it is Lex's cameras.
Holy shit.
Trying to humiliate Superman. And this ordinary man shouts Superman and helps him to his feet. And it is here when we hear John Williams' notes of the Superman theme. And it's such an interesting context. Not a moment of victory for Superman, it's a fall. Yet, in many ways, it's even more of a victory, because an ordinary citizen is looking past the hate of the propaganda and willing to dirty himself up with sewer water, yuck, to get the Man of Steel back on his feet. This is the true power of Superman. Not what he can do, but what he inspires everyone into believing what they can do. And it's why we hear John Williams' theme in this moment. We haven't seen enough of this in superhero movies. The hero actually interacting with everyday people. We started to see some of this again in Marvel's Thunderbolts. We're gonna see it in Fantastic Four First Steps, but this moment
hopefully it's a good movie.
Of the amazing moment in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 in 2004, when Peter Parker saves the
amazing movie
and gets unmasked in the process, and they carry his body and promise to keep his secret, and even stand in front of him to face down Doc Ock. This was when America was in the wake of 9/11 and really needed to see Americans, especially New Yorkers, having these kind of wins. But I would argue America right now is in an even darker place and really needs to be reminded what it means to be a good citizen, both of our country and our world. Look, if you've made it this far into the video, we know you're a diehard fan, and when you see for your one and a neon, guess what that we got? Mascuson and a Punisher Funko Pop signed by John Gestables, and which got what digital app. Then you ran fire blast shot as he taunts this kaiju to redirect it away from the civilians.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
The fact that Superman can keep a sense of humor here, but not be overly jokey, it's just a tone I'm really looking forward to seeing, because he's not saying this line for the kaiju. He's not talking shit. He's not doing this for himself. He's not doing this as a wink to the viewer, but he's doing it for the scared office workers he knows are in earshot behind him. He's trying to present a calm demeanor so they don't panic. I love the camera movement here. Superman jets upward out of frame, too fast for the camera to keep up with him, and the camera now has to chase him up and up and up. We glide up the side of this building, and it has a large V, and above that, Lord Tech, and the particular logo that forms the J and the L of Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner's new suits. This building is Maxwell Lord's company building, and I wonder if the kaiju attacked it in particular because it was sent by Lex to crush a rival in the tech space. The text of "From Director James Gunn" has the same blue space stream effect as what we saw in the 1978 Superman film, a complicated and groundbreaking effect used by artist Richard Greenberg. We see the shot from the April footage of the Fortress of Solitude bursting from the Arctic ice as Krypto drags Superman to get treated. As Lex Luthor marches into the Fortress of Solitude, we get our best
Oh,
look yet at
damn.
the Engineer's nanotech body armor as the nanites reassemble into spinning razor fans. Behind them, you can make out Lex's assistant, Eve Teskmacher, in a snazzy
Ooh.
little snowsuit that we see a bit more of later. Lex sends the Engineer after the Superman robots. These are taken directly from the 2011 animated film All-Star Superman, which is based on the 2005 and 2008
did I see
Grant
that
Morrison
movie? I
comic
think
run
I did.
All-Star Superman, which James Gunn cited as the primary inspiration for this movie's take on the character and its tone. In that 2011 animated movie, the Superman robots help Superman around the Fortress of Solitude, and they help him fight Solarius, and many of them are destroyed, as they appear to be in this movie. As they do in the animated film, these robots wear Superman-inspired capes and have similar chest shields that are numbered. The ones we know of are number 1, number 12, number 4, number 5. We also see number 7 at this part of the trailer, but the Engineer slices them into pieces while Lex never stops walking. So confident. I think it's really sweet that Crypto goes into loyal guard dog mode, protecting Papa's house, even when he's not here, flying over to the Engineer and like punching her in the mouth. Crypto is a visual effect created out of a mix of a stand-in dog actor named Jolene and a 3D modeled form of James Gunn's rescue dog Ozu that he is described as a bit of a chaos monster, but he still loves him. In the CinemaCon scene, we
That's
hear
adorable.
number 4 most clearly, and it is the voice of Alan Tudyk, longtime voice
Ooh.
actor and live action actor, who voices K2SO on Andor and Rogue One, and voices Clayface in both James Gunn's Creature Commandos and the animated Harley Quinn series.
Interesting.
No need to thank us, sir, as we will not appreciate
I hear it now. Yeah, I hear it. I hear it now.
consciousness whatsoever. Merely automatons here to serve.
Since April, we have learned that number 5 is voiced by longtime James Gunn collaborator Michael Rooker, and number 12 is voiced by Grace Chan. By the way, that scene also included what I'm pretty sure are the voices of Superman's biological parents, Jor-El and Lara, as recordings playing when Superman and Krypto enter the room in an alien Kryptonian language. And what I'm about to say might be a spoiler, so if you don't want to know, like, the surprise Jor-El casting, skip to this time, but
Oh shit.
trailer gives us a lot more context to what's going on here. A later shot shows Superman in the December teaser, but this trailer gives us a lot more context to what's going on here. A later shot shows Superman in the cell with Metamorpho, Anthony Kerrigan's character, who after an accident with Stag Enterprises can morph different quadrants of his body into different materials. The later shot shows a few Lex bots, or Lex soldiers in Lex bot armor, dragging Superman into the cell, while Metamorpho sits there with his fist turned into kryptonite. So this grid must be Lex Luthor's private prison, and he's using Metamorpho to depower Superman to imprison him here. But now I'm wondering if Metamorpho will have a change of heart and morph that kryptonite into solar energy, sunlight that will restore Superman's strength and allow him to break free. We see a woman fleeing the kaiju, and we see
that's
a
what
billboard
that
for
was.
Big Belly Burger. Enjoy a Big Belly meal today. Big Belly Burger is a fast food chain in the DC Comics with a logo based on Bob's Big Boy. You may remember seeing it in 2023's Blue Beetle film. Technically, Big Belly Burger is a subsidiary of LexCorp. We see a sign for 8,
Is a what?
extended due to popular demand. So Brandon and I were wondering if this was a popular musical running in Metropolis, maybe something like our world's great musical 6, a musical about the wives of Henry VIII. So 8 could be a reference to Henry VIII himself. Like, this could be a Hamilton-like musical told from his perspective, which I think is hilarious because it would completely negate what makes 6 so great, because it's not about him, it's about the women he killed. The news screen on the building is anchored by real-life ABC News correspondent Will Reeve, who is the son of Christopher Reeve. It's just so amazing to see his face in the background of a lot of these scenes. The Chiron of
Holy
this broadcast
shit.
reads Sphere News, I guess a rival to the Daily Planet, but maybe a news service funded by Mr. Terrific, who's all about his spheres. And we see major floods causes suffering. Grammar typo there. Beneath that, the ticker reads, labeled the Gurkos government as unstable and relations have been something. Okay, so Gurkos is a very obscure tyrant from Wonder Woman comics who rules the moon of Phobos.
Right.
But I don't know if that was intentional here. We come back to the shot of Superman and
Oh,
Lois
that's it.
holding
Oh,
hands
okay.
while a battle rages in the city outside. I'm now really thinking this is Guy Gardner Green Lantern fighting Cersei, the Themysciran sorceress from Creature Commandos, whose sorcery takes this exact fuchsia color. And I think Guy Gardner is extending a green net around to try to contain her. Young Clark runs into Pa Kent's arms. The camera moves with an amateur zoom, so I'm thinking this is some home video being recorded by Ma Kent. We cut to the present day where older Pa Kent chats with Clark on the front steps of their home.
I'm
James
tired.
Gunn confirmed that the Kent farmhouse in Smallville is a double-wide trailer. It's not a classic movie farmhouse with a big house and an adjacent barn and a huge grain tower, because modern farms in the Midwest do not look like that these days. And James Gunn said that where he grew up in Missouri, a lot of farms tended to look more like this. And growing up on the west side of Jacksonville and driving through a lot of rural areas, I can confirm that is more so what farms look like. Moving on. Michael Holt, Mr. Terrific, steps off his ship, twisting his hands to command his floating T-spears. We see them attacking these armored soldiers that I think are
I keep saying,
Lexbots.
I
The
keep
people
saying,
in the
oh
shorts
wow.
and the Hawaiian shirts laying in the sand, I think also work for Luthor Corp, because in the
Right.
December teaser trailer tomorrow short, you see a shot of them working in this camp. And we know from past footage that Lois Lane has visited this camp, and Mr. Terrific has to project a shield around her to protect her from Luthor's forces. In the background of the shot, you can see a Luthor Corp truck parked. So I think Lois is investigating something, and then Luthor's forces just turned on her, and Mr. Terrific has to save her. Lex observes the Kryptonian console in the Fortress of Solitude, and we see how it uses a similar crystal cores for data files that were created for the production design of the 1978 Richard Donner Superman. We can also see some Kryptonian symbols on the disc-shaped screen. Lex says Superman. He's not a man, he's an it. He's disgusted by an extraterrestrial being worshipped as a god and views him as a savage beast that needs to be contained. Superman lies in his childhood bed as Martha and Jonathan look over him. The veins on his neck and cheek are dark and visible, which might indicate some kryptonite poisoning. As Lois watches this in the same room, behind her is a poster of the
Almost
NASA
done.
Saturn 1B rocket launched from
I'm
Apollo
right to
1A.
bed. No Rico
This
Nasty
was a
today. It's
crewless
gonna be
test
another
flight
day.
that led to the development of the
Holy
Saturn V
shit.
rocket that would take us
Tired.
to the moon. Makes sense that Clark Kent has a love for space travel and for rockets, as they are kind of what brought him to Earth. Then there's a shot of the Lexbots I mentioned before, with Metamorpho turning his hand to kryptonite. These Lexbots have LC on their chests for Luthor Corp, but this cell is one of dozens, maybe hundreds of cells. To the right of Superman's cell is a woman in a pink dress. I can't make out the man on the cell to the other side or any of the other adjacent cells above or below him, but behind those Lexbots is a grid of dozens more. So did Lex build this complex to contain metahumans that he's capturing? Moving on. Superman flies up out of a cloud of dust. There is a shot in Superman for All Seasons that looks similar here. We see the three members of Maxwell Lord's Justice League, Guy Gardner with his green ring of power illuminated and a Green Lantern sigil belt buckle, Hawkgirl, Kendra Saunders with her mace and her wings flapping, and Mr. Terrific floating in a levitating
the
chair.
fuck?
Lex grumbles that Superman has become the entire focus of the world's conversation, and he will not accept that. So for him, it really is an ego thing. Superman fights the engineer in the Metropolis Meteors baseball park. Her razor discs slice off some of his hair, meaning his hair is not invulnerable. In this baseball park, I did spot a few Easter eggs in the last teaser, but we can now see an ad for Sarayo, a nod to this film's lead graphic designer, 80 Sarayo. Also, again, there's Cuevas, which is a sign in blue on the upper deck, also someone who works on this film. Other stadium signs that we can make
Jesus.
out: Metropolis Waste Management, Big Belly Burger, and then this one, meteors are for everyone. And the first 5 letters are the pride colors, and the last 2 are the trans flag colors. Comet Airways with a horse logo. Comet is actually the name of Supergirl's white pet horse, who actually is a centaur turned into a horse
What?
by Cersei. We do expect to see Millie Alcock's Kara Zor-El Supergirl in this movie. Fitzgibbon, which is actually a name that James Gunn often
hell?
puts into his movies. It was the name of Meredith Quill's doctor in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, and it's just a reference to James Gunn's longtime friend Larry Fitzgibbon. We see a sign
I've
for
seen him
Lord,
before.
probably Maxwell Lord. We also see Lord Tech, a building on the far left outside of the park. Also, interesting detail, the flags are at half-mast, which tells us that this is happening after some kind of national tragedy, maybe something that they are blaming on Superman. We see a blue crystalline trench in the water through the seawall to this building. Maybe this was caused by Metamorpho, like it could be the Stag Enterprises building, and
Maybe.
maybe this was right after his incident where he's escaping. And there's a close-up of Lex completely raging, veins popping out of his head. So while Nicholas Hoult has mostly played it cool in footage we've seen so far, he is not above going completely comic book villain manic. Moving on. All right, we get this great moment with Ma Kent and Pa Kent as Martha goes to get his boots, and I love how there's a framed portrait of Clark on the wall that might be his high school senior photo. There's another shot of Superman flying around to punch the kaiju. On the left in the background is a green and yellow billboard for Metropolis General Hospital. He punches it in the nose as we again see Will Reeve on the screen with a new Chiron, new regulations set to
Goodness,
begin
I am
next week. And the conflict between
Cooked.
Baratheon troops and Jarhanpur protesters, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, joins and conjures a giant green hand who casually swat away some of the Baratheon troops. Hey, at least he's defending the unarmed refugees. Hawkgirl smashes someone through the window of this building. He looks bald, but I can't tell if it's Lex Luthor. Clark and Jimmy
I don't think
Olsen
that's
goof
Lex.
around in the Daily Planet newsroom. The desk on the right is probably Steve Lombard's desk because you can see a lot of sports stuff, a baseball in the glove. There's also a Superman figurine behind the corkboard, and then there's also a little photo of Superman among the boxing and water polo photos. So Steve's a fanboy. On Jimmy's desk is a photo of Superman flying, as well as Jimmy Olsen with
How are these
two
people getting these
ladies
clear
on either side of
photos?
him. I thought one might have been Lois Lane, but I don't know. I think our boy's a player. As Superman
Yes,
fights
sir.
Arabia in a nearby building, Miss Taskmaster takes a selfie while making this annoying pose. I'm thinking this might be in the neighboring Luthor Corp tower. Maybe that's the value she brings to Lex Luthor, is that she knows how to like manipulate the media and social media to turn it against Superman. Back in the baseball field, we see the engineers nanites crawling through the grass towards Superman. There's a quick shot of Superman in Lex Luthor's boardroom with Superman's suit cooked after the kaiju attack. Superman throws Lex's desk while Lex sits calmly, unmoved. There are some framed photos on Lex's shelves that include some of him posing with various important world leaders, and there's one framed photo of Miss Taskmaster. Lex smugly sips from a Luthor Corp mug with space Lex along the bottom. Gotta be a nod to SpaceX. Mr. Terrific and Lois Lane exit his ship in this interesting location. The rock formations kind of look like that blue trench in the water, so if that isn't Metamorpho related, is this something like the Phantom Zone? Is it part of Lex's metahuman prison? Is it the collected remains of Krypton or the city of Kandor? We do see Superman flying through this space a few seconds later as someone else on a piece of debris fires heat vision at him. I really don't know what to make of these shots. In between these shots is a shot of Metamorpho shifting his fingers together to make a new element, which could be the light producing process that creates a sunlight that repowers and frees Superman. A quick shot of Superman screaming as the robots use the solar radiation to heal him from the CinemaCon scene. There was some griping over whether Superman would scream in pain like this from sunlight, but if Ultraman hurt him badly enough to cause internal bleeding, and if that sunlight was like 200 something times more powerful than the Saharan sunlight, then yeah, this rapid healing process would hurt like hell. All right, on to the final clip.
You have a dog?
Yep, man's best friend.
And back in Lois's interview with Clark, and this moment of Superman with Krypto lying on his chest in his childhood bedroom on the Smallville farm. We see a pennant for the Smallville Giants, which as of 1986's Man of Steel #1 was the name of Clark's high school football team. And there's a poster for the Mighty Crabjoys. This is a fictional band that we saw Eric Frankenstein wearing a shirt for in Creature Commandos. The band also showed up on a billboard in the Peacemaker Season 2 trailer. So it clearly is some kind of fictional favorite of James Gunn. And I could be wrong, but this is totally something James Gunn would do. I think that band leader who's making this stupid pose is an old photo of James Gunn himself from his younger days when he was in a band. He has posted about and podcasted about his punk band history from the late 80s, including bands like the Icons, the Pods, and a band called Mom. I think this is him. And the guy put himself all over Creature Commandos. He would put himself in this. Comment down below with your thoughts on this trailer. I can't.
Man, I apologize, but holy shit. I'm just so, I'm just so tired. And with that ends this whole everything I wanted to do except for the Rico Nasty album, but I'm fighting for my life to stay awake. So, yeah, it's gonna be that. Peace.
領域展開無料空所